Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. This program we interview Hispanic entrepreneurs who have built successful businesses. We learn from them their story, how they started the business, why, their challenges and their victories, and we hope you find these stories entertaining and interesting and educational. Today we're very fortunate to have with us a wonderful gentleman, Armando Reyes. Mr. Reyes founded in 1980 Kings Aire. Mr. Reyes, thank you for your time and being with us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Mr. Galicia. I'm all ears and I'm here with you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Let's see how far we can take this baby.
So, you founded in 1980 your business, and now what role do you play?
Well, now I'm just doing a little bit of PR, public relations for the company. I drop off little brochures here and there. Since I have passed, no, not I, my wife and I have passed the company to our only child.
So you pass it on to your family?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, it took effect the first of the year, 2014. She's been our only child, and she's our only child. Never was spoiled.
Wow.
Very intelligent young lady. Married a wonderful man that's also very intelligent, thank goodness. And Elena and Jose have helped me move it from a mom and pop shop into what it is right now, They're the ones that get to spend the money. I'll give them the okay, used to give them the okay, but now they're doing well.
So why did you name it Kings Aire?
Well, my last name is Reyes. And it's a long story in the sense because I knew when I first started the business in 1980, we were doing nothing but evaporative cooler service here and service that. I figured that if I ever was going to put my name on the yellow pages, very few people were going to call Reyes Aire. I don't think it had a touch to that. So I said, well, my last name is Reyes. It's plural. I'm going to call it Kings Aire. And ever since, it's worked wonderful. I've had people from Mexico and local people, of course, Kings Aire, Reyes Aire, and people from Mexico call, and they will pick up on it, and even they would ask me, how come you called it Kings Aire? I never advertised as a Hispanically owned business. Down the line, it was just, I figured that it would never take off with Reyes Aire, or Aire, A-I-R-E.
So when you started, you realized that maybe using a Hispanic name was not going to be
It was not going to fly.
Wow.
It was not going to fly. These 30-some-odd years ago, and again, the demographics have changed for sure in population. We've got a lot of Hispanics nowadays versus the amount of Hispanics that were available or around 1980. I was still dealing with a lot of people around the, right around close to UTEP. And there was a lot of Anglo people in there that just wanted their air conditioners, and they were the upper, richer echelon people, and they decided to call Kings Aire, and I had a whole bunch of customers there.
That's neat, that's neat. Well, let me ask you, what neighborhood did you grow up in?
I grew up in the Chamizal. I went to Jefferson High School, family, 9 boys. 10 boys with my father.
Really?
No sisters.
Really?
Didn't have anything to offer my friends.
So, so you grew up there by St. Francis?
No, you'd have to go down Hammett Street, and before they fixed the international border, you would have to make a right turn into that neighborhood, and then you would end up in that Chamizal area.
Right.
And the area got wiped out. The canal that came through there is probably the front yard of our old little lot. My dad bought a huge lot. We played baseball. We had a baseball team.
That's where Delta ended, I think.
Yes, sir. Delta ended right there at a canal.
Yeah.
But in order to go into the neighborhood, you'd have to go Hammett, make a right turn on through Laredo Street, and you were inside that neighborhood.
Wow. I used to work at a service station on Paisano
Okay.
when they first built Paisano,
Okay.
and the chamizal was the back of
You know what that was? That was the Dixie.
Border Dixie.
Border Dixie.
I worked there. Yes,
right
sir.
across from St. Francis Xavier
Yes,
Church.
yes,
Right there.
that's where I worked. I'll be there.
Yes,
So I
sir.
know your neighborhood. So you were born in El Paso,
Yes, sir.
and you're how many brothers?
We were 9 brothers, 9 boys. My parents adopted still 1 more, so that's 9. And with him, 10 men. And we would all go to church together. We ate under the same roof. Pobrecita mi mamá. And the best cook in the world, of course. We started growing up, and my dad picked up on it. He says, now it's your turn. You got to do this chore. You got to do this chore. You got to do this chore. I was the second oldest from the top.
Okay. And what did your father do?
He was a plumber.
Oh, okay.
He was a plumber, a darn good plumber. I would go work with him when I was a young kid, 15-year-olds, 14-year-old. I'd go with him in the summertime. I remember the Beaumont area was still getting built, some beautiful homes, and of course, our home was not a beautiful home. It was a nice home where we lived down there in the Chamizal, but those beautiful homes were coming up on Piedras right underneath Beaumont, William Beaumont. Nice neighborhoods. And I'd go out there and help my dad, 14 years old. At about 15, 16, oh, Mero, I tell you what, I sold popcorn, I sold cotton candy at the Coliseum. I shined shoes. I was always doing something.
And you went to Jefferson.
Yes, sir.
What year did you finish there?
I graduated in 1965.
65.
Yeah.
And so working with your father, what did you learn from your father?
You know, I again, like I say, even being the second oldest, I was always a go-getter, Homero. A go-getter, and I would get up. I was up early, and I'd ask my dad, Dad, can I come with you? Yeah, véngase. My other brothers would not do that. I was the one that would ask my dad, Dad, can I come along? And it didn't bother me. He gave me a pick and shovel, and I could hit my little rocks and move them because it's full of rocks about that area. And then I learned from the other maestros that were working there. I learned work ethics from my dad. Okay. And as years grew older, as we got older, I was still, even though there was, I say older, because that was 15, 14 years old. By the time I was 18 years old, I got drafted into the Army. So that's
right
4 years, 4 years, window, 4 years, man.
So right out of high school, you got drafted.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Almost immediately.
Wow. And your mother, what did your mother do?
She was, like they say, a domestic engineer. Pobrecita mi mamá. But she was good at it. She kept us all in line.
Yeah. She was from El Paso, too.
Yes, sir. She's, well, I'm 5 generations in El Paso. Wow. Go ahead.
So she was a disciplinarian.
Oh, by all means, by all means. She, my dad too, even though he'd drink his beers and everything, but never gave anybody trouble. He was an only child too.
Really? What did you learn from your mother?
Work, hard work. Ponerle. My mom always insisted in us finishing our high school. My oldest brother didn't finish high school. I was the first one to finish high school. And I never could understand. My dad took me downtown to buy me a sports coat and some other stuff, and here I was. It was for the graduation. I couldn't see the importance of it because I would always think that when I'm older, I'm going to open up a little business of some sort.
You knew that?
Yes. I knew I was going to have a little business of some sort. I did not want to go to college. My dad and my mom offered it. But way back then, in those particular years, high school gave you the college route or non-college route. And I picked the non-college route.
Was your father an independent businessman?
No. He worked for his cousin.
Okay.
A cousin, one way or another. He was a cousin of his. But he was a good plumber, and I'd hang around with him. I'd go with, when they were wiping the tees, the lead tees, and they used solder, and they used a couple of, it's like wax rags, and they put a little rope, and they poured the solder, and remove the rope, and then they wipe it. They'd say wipe it with nothing but solder. and there was a fixture, a fitting that was going to be used in a toilet. But I just observed. I did that a lot.
So you learned.
Yes, sir.
So you get drafted.
Yes, sir.
And what was your experience in the military?
Not the best. Yeah. It's amazing. Well, I have to share this with you. I got blown away. What the kids nowadays call an IED, like bad, survived. I got crushed. Yeah, I was a crew member on a M88 tank retriever, and I got crushed right around my waist. Just a tow bar got me. I almost croaked with that one.
You got crushed underneath?
No. My job on the tow bar on the M88 tank retriever is a big, huge tank. And when we had to retrieve something that was blown up by the VC or whatever, we'd either drag it, pull it, bring it back into base. And a tow bar is big old tow bar, just steel, but 6-inch diameter pipes. Right. And we'd hook onto the equipment that was blown up or damaged. And my job was to come out, of course. I was not hooked up with my headset, and I'd jump in between the tow bar and then throw my dog tags to the back. I had my flak vest, my steel pot, no weapon, and I had to pick up the tow bar. And there was a guy who would sit up on top, and he was hooked up to the driver, and he could see and tell him which way to maneuver. All I had to do was stand like that, just hold that darn thing until the hook would line up. When that hook would line up, I would drop the tow bar, close it, and I'd give him this signal. The guy on top got sniped and got shot through the leg, and he went down. So the last order he gave the driver was to go forward, but this piece of equipment that we had had a flat tire. It was in the mud, and it kicked forward, and it started twisting, and it just twisted that tow bar almost around my whole body. I got out of there. I don't know how I did it, but it was just terrible. I got medevac.
That was in Vietnam?
Yes, sir.
How long were you there before that happened?
Probably about 4 months.
Wow.
But the IED, I took it in 3 months, man.
Oh, you got hit before with that?
Oh, yeah. But, you know, you're a kid. Excuse me, you rebound, man.
So where did they medevac you to?
To a hospital, and I remember, it was the 701st hospital in Pleiku, Vietnam.
Okay. What year was that?
67.
Yeah.
1967.
Yeah.
That's when the 173rd Airborne got their, they got kicked up in Hill 875. It was just a mess. It was just a mess.
Yeah, I was in Okinawa in the mid '60s, and I was in the. We used to, they would bring a ship with the injured to the hospital there
From
Vietnam, and then I was at Hickam Air Base.
Okay.
And we'd welcome, because I was in a band, and
Okay.
so they'd bring the injured off the airplane, take them to Tripler Medical, and I would see these guys just they had increased.
The big gunshot wounds in the chest or in the back, there were the ones that they'd evacuate them immediately. Leg wounds are okay, but the big gunshot wounds in the chest or that came through the back, those are the guys that send them out there real quick.
So you stayed there?
Oh yeah, well yeah, you know.
And so once you healed, they put you back?
Yes, sir. I pulled guard. The following week, I stayed in the hospital one week, and I could barely walk. See, I didn't jump in the chopper when the IED blew me away. And I wanted to say this, a proud Chicano, you know, and I was wounded, never reported it, but I did not get on the helicopter because I just didn't want to go, you know. I did not want to go. I was like, God dang it, you know. Guys that in base camp are going to say, you're just faking it or something. And I didn't want to get on the chopper. When that thing blew up, it was a truck that came across, and we were waiting for the truck. It was a convoy, an American convoy that had to come up, one of ours, going up NK Pass, and they hit a mine because I was guarding that bridge with two more guys. They hit a mine at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and that truck flipped over, had fish and everything. Well, it woke everybody up. So this was about 6, 7 o'clock, and here's this convoy coming from the ocean, our convoy going up to the top of the hills. And we were just standing around, and we had a tag retriever with a blade trying to cover up the hole that the other mine had created. And I remember seeing the driver, and I was giving him thumbs up, and boom. And I did a John Wayne down the mountain, and I thought it was gone.
Wow.
But I remember crawling back up the hill. I could see a little tape, Homero, little tape right in front of my eyes. I could see my baby girl, because she was 4 months old, Elena.
Really?
My wife, my mom, my dad, my grandpa, everybody, all my brothers. Just
Wow.
a little skinny tape running right through here.
Wow.
Running right across. And I remember climbing and crawling. And I was afraid to get to the top of the hill because I figured that when I hit the top of the hill, I was going to look this way, I was going to look that way, and there's nobody there. I had checked out of this world.
Wow.
Amazing, Homero.
So you were married before you got drafted?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You married young?
Yes, I did.
Right out of high school?
Yes, almost. I'm still married, 47 years.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, so she's taking a beating, and I say beating, with tolerating me, and we worked together at Kings Aire, all these years.
And your daughter,
Our daughter.
You were 20 years old
Yes, yeah.
when your daughter was born.
Well, yeah, I was 20 years old when our baby girl was born, and she's no baby anymore. I'm not going to tell her age, but we're 10. I'm going to be 67. You figure it out.
And so, so how long did you stay in Vietnam then?
I did about 13 months.
13 months. And then?
ATS out of there, came back, and came back to work for the air conditioning company I was working for, and that was Breeze Air Conditioning, $250 an hour.
Really?
$250 an hour. What a killer! $100 a week.
Really?
Worked my butt off, man. I loved it. I loved it.
Don Brees.
Don Breeze, a wonderful person.
Yeah, he was. I grew up in the neighborhood with Don Brees. My brother was his best friend. And
Okay.
in fact, my first job after paper routes was with Don Brees. He had a service station.
Yes, I hear
So
that.
you worked with him? He was
Yes,
a-
as a matter of fact, I was already working for him when I got drafted. His shop used to be on Piedras, and I forgot the name of the street, but up Piedras, coming up Piedras. And I started, his dad, John Brees, had the business.
Okay.
And I started working for John. I was just doing sheet metal work. I loved it. I just, I said, one of these days I'm going to do something. But anything they put me to do, I'd give it 100%. That was it. I shine shoes, and oh man, I tell you.
So you worked for Don Brees after you came back from the service?
Yes,
For
8 years. 8
Wow.
years. I worked for him for 8 years. I became one of his supervisors. I learned how to install ductwork. I had so many ideas. They had somebody above me that wouldn't let me go up there, but I wasn't about to circumvent him or go around him. Don Brees was a wonderful man. As a matter of fact, after I opened my business, I wanted to be a Don Brees company.
really?
He had his benefits, paid vacation, holidays. Nice man.
Yeah, he was very nice.
Well,
Yeah.
the pay was what's normal around here.
Yeah.
What's normal around here.
And so you stayed with Don Brees because I know he got sick.
Yes.
You were with him at the time?
No, sir.
Okay.
I left Don Brees. Then I went to work for D&L Plumbing, David Barton. He moved to Odessa. He gave me a nice little position up there, made me the top dog of the sheet metal department, and the estimator and the installer. I was doing 3 things: estimating, installing, and had a good time with with David Barton. I worked for him for 4 years. And
So all of this is training.
yeah, by all means, training. But I would always look around, whatever, I worked for Don, and I became one of his supervisors, and that's where you start learning that, inventory is important, not wasting material, and labor, not wasting labor. There was guys that were wasting labor, even though I could go chat with them. But I already had the people skills to a certain degree, Homero. Coming out of the Army, I was 21 years old. I was 21 years old. But I was able to talk to some of these 30 and 40-year-old guys that they were dragging their butts. You know, I'm sorry. We did the Chevron station, and I would work, and I could tell that they were just killing time. I said, this isn't going to work good. They didn't like it when I would tell them something like that. And I was not a pushover, but I was never a bully. I never squealed on them. I had a technique of telling them the right thing without them getting mad. I'm sure some of them got mad at me. The Hispanic word, barbero.
So where'd you learn that skill?
In the Army. In the Army, just talking to your people. And because I was the squad leader in NAM, I was a 5, like a buck sergeant, E5, And in the Army, you go by the rules.
So did the Army give you confidence?
Yes, it did. It did. Again, like I say, I came back to work. Pero when I came back, I wanted to build me a little casita, my house, get my girl growing and let her go to college. However I was going to do it, I wanted the best. My dad set a good example to us, even though when I started the business, my dad would help me. He passed away at 70, but my dad set a good example for me to work, and mi mamá was school. But I did go to community college, tech, to learn more refrigeration, everything associated with the business. But a big mistake that one does is when you, the administration part, and a lot of people, that's where they're missing that part.
So you started your business, why?
Why? I wanted to live comfortable, but my idea of a big company was 40 people at the max. 40 people. I said, that's it. But then the ball started rolling, Homero. The ball started rolling.
So you started just yourself and
It was just myself and my dad. And I had some contacts because I left David Barton. Too many promises never came through. I mean, that's okay. It's in the past. Too many promises, and he never came through. I would bust my tail for that man, and again, like I say, nothing would come through. And it wasn't in me, Homero, to say, hey, you said you were going to give me this, and that. Oh, man, I think. And then another little issue is that I might be getting ahead of myself here. I was already planning on leaving David Barton. I go ask one of the supply houses, and I'm not going to mention the names because it happened. But I asked the head honcho, and I asked him, Mr. So-and-so, is there any way if I start my own business, he says, is there any way if I can get some credit from you? And I remember he turned around and he says, he touched me. Son, if I was you, I'd turn around right now and go ask I'd go ask your boss. You need to go back and ask your boss for a raise. Okay, that's what. I didn't like that, He didn't see any potential for whatever. But that's not the reason. I finally found out later, years down the road, too many people had burnt him. Too many people had approached him like I had. Hey, not knowing the rules, not even bringing a financial statement to show him.
Yeah. Were you saving money?
Very little, Homero. The reason is que I wasn't making the best money in the world either. Making $6 an hour, that's $240,000, $12,000 a year, But anyway, we tried. My wife saved money for me. I wasn't a spender. I'm still not a spender. I don't like lavish things. I like good things, but lavish, nah. We could have had
So you started bare bones.
yeah, bare bones, My wife saved enough money. When I got back from Vietnam, we had something like $2K. She had $2,000. I said, wow. And that was a lot of money. So we bought a 67 Pontiac Catalina. And it was it's amazing. I could name these people. Fred Schneider Pontiac. And it had 11,000 miles on the car. Darn wheels were pelonas, melons. For 11,000, I don't think so. Way back then, they could turn that speedometer back. They could. Nowadays, they can't. But I bought that car for $2,000, man. It was 1 year old. It was 1968. Bought a 67. 1 year old car with 11,000 miles. And the darn tires, I said, wow. I wasn't a negotiator. I was happy to get a car.
Yeah.
Well, that car took my little girl from elementary to high school. And Helen would not let me paint that darn thing. And it started getting rusty on top. And it got to the point that some of the kids there in the neighborhood, and I still love them all, and they're Nena's friends, my daughter's friends, they said, Mrs. Reyes would take them to Bel Air because we ended up living up here in the valley. And Mrs. Reyes, we'll go with you. They'll go in the car, but drop us a block away. Those kids were but they got there right.
So tell me, we want to know about how you built your business, but your father helped you. What did he help you do?
He really, truly, he was just he would pass things up to me because he wasn't the strongest anymore. He would pass me. I did the stand. It was a lot of evaporative cooling that we were doing, replacements. That's how I got started, replacing evap coolers, giving quotes. I can't even remember Omero. Keep calling you Omar, I'm sorry. We didn't have any advertisement. I do recall that I had some connections with a contractor was in Horizon. He built 1 home, 2, 3 homes. And I told him what my plans were. I gave him my phone number. Well, he ended up helping me. He called me. And I started building a little house here and a little house there, plus service calls. The only thing we had were beepers. And the phone would ring at the house. Helen would pick up the phone. And then eventually we would transfer that phone over to my mother-in-law, which was the first receptionist that we ever had.
Yeah.
He was cool.
Well, this story is fascinating. We have to continue with the story.
Yes.
And I appreciate you telling us about your background. And right now we want to take a break, and we ask the viewers to stay with us for segment 2. Thank you for watching.